I don't feel alone. We just settled in and it already feels like home.
You're listening to the Feels Like Home podcast with Mike Throne and Marty Ford. Powered by Horizon. This is big. This is gig.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us again this week on the Feels Like Home podcast. We have started out season 3 with a couple of really dynamite folks, young folks in our community that are out taking their own chances, doing their own thing. And the second one of those is our guest today, which is Macey Power. Macey was a longtime marketing professional here for about 7 years, but has branched out on her own, is doing her own thing with a new life coaching gig. And I'm excited for you to meet her. She's also the president of our Epic Young Professionals here in Ross County. And that's a great group that's really made some great strides over the last couple of years. So I'm really excited for you guys to meet and hear from Macey Power. We hope you enjoy. So with us today is Macey Power. I'm going to let you explain you and what you do. So I know Macey also through our Epic Young Professionals group at the Chamber, where she is our president, has been our president for the last 1+ years, I guess is the best way to say it, and has presided over a great resurgence in that group. We've got a great group that's doing that, so I'm really proud of them. So I'll let you explain what you do and all that other stuff.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here. So I'm Macey, and I'm not a Chillicothe native, but I have lived here now about 8 years. And as Mike said, I am the president of the Epic Group, which is the Young Professionals Network through the Chamber. I currently just took a leap and left my 9-to-5 corporate desk job where I worked as a marketing specialist for the last 7 years. And I'm now focusing on being a full-time life coach and launching my own coaching business.
Which is pretty cool. And so obviously the first question that I think people will have is, what does a life coach do, and how can I benefit from having a life coach?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a life coach, I really help primarily women, but really any young adults navigate that journey of finding their purpose. So my certification is technically a Dharma coach. So Dharma is Sanskrit for purpose. And your purpose isn't just your job or your hobbies, but really your mission, your why. Why are you here? Who are you here to serve? And just through experience of not having clarity on, why I'm here and what I wanted to do, I really felt that was a need in not just this community, but really right now in the world with everything going on that, people need guidance, people need help. And it's not just therapy. It's not just talking to a counselor, but really giving people the tools they need to find clarity, live a purposeful life full of abundance, gain the confidence they need to start that business or leave that relationship or take that leap of their corporate job and really do what they're passionate about.
Do you think that going through COVID for everybody has not only led you to this place, but led a lot of people to seek for their own mental health and stability, life coach connection? Do you feel like that's happened for sure?
Oh, absolutely. And, I think with the pandemic, personally for me, it was a time to, I could either sit and watch the news and get consumed by everything on social media, or I could use that time I had working from home and being isolated to my advantage. And that's really what I did. I was forced to sit with myself and my thoughts and do a lot of self-reflection. And, you take the bars away, you take your friends away, you take TJ Maxx away. And it's like, who are you? What? A lot of people lost their jobs. You take your job away. And when you attach your identity to all these external things and realizing they can just be gone, for me, it really made me think about what my purpose is here. And so, yeah, I think with the pandemic, a lot of people have been thinking, what does matter to me? And is it that job? Is it, what you're really doing your day to day, does that really matter? And I think a lot of us have realized, no, like there's so much more to life. And sometimes you need guidance to figure out what that next step is or what that looks like. And that's where coaching can come into play.
So how is the Macey of 2020 or 2022 different than the Macey of January 2020?
Yeah, I'm just like, if you could see my face right now, I'm like, oh boy, where to start? Well, I'm coming up on 2 years of sobriety. So that is a big difference in my life and for me personally.
Was that a big deal for you? Did you feel like that things were out of control in that regard, and that's why you kind of went on that journey?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I'll be the first to admit to that. I was out of control. My behaviors were toxic. I was finding myself in toxic relationships with, partners and friends. I really felt alcohol was holding me back from who I not only wanted to be, but who I was meant to be. And it was holding me back from doing the things that I truly wanted. And it was just this vicious cycle of, I'd dabble into personal development, and then I'd, find myself right back at the bars doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. And so not only the sobriety, but just being focused on, again, what matters and the people I'm surrounding myself with. But at the same time, I feel like I have found myself even more. I talk about this with my clients a lot, finding yourself, like, what did you like to do when you were a kid, right? And I've found more of that now through the pandemic and through the last couple of years, that I found the real Macey again, that alcohol kept me from being.
Yeah. So I don't want to just pinpoint alcohol, but I just thought it was a really interesting part of your story because having known you for pretty much your 7 years in this town, I remember when you announced, like, I wouldn't say you announced, but you're like, hey, I'm so far into this journey now, and I'm just starting. And so now to see it at 2 years is, I'm proud of you. I think it's great. I think, for everybody, I think you have to understand where you are in life and say, you know what, I'm either going to keep being this person or I'm going to change. And I had to do that. I had a lot of things about me that were selfish, and getting divorced helped me see that was, I had to be considerate of other people. Couldn't be an only child forever and just hoard all my toys. No offense, because I know you're an only child too, but like that's kind of what built me. I had built that up as a thing, and when you build alcohol or any other thing in your life like that, you got to change at some point.
Yeah, and I felt like I used alcohol definitely as a coping mechanism for things I had gone through as a child and even in my early teens and stuff. But I also used it as a way to gain confidence, and I wanted to be like the cool girl, the fun girl, and I'm now able to be that even more so without it. And again, it just goes back to when you take all these things away, like who are you?
Yeah. So beyond the alcohol, what else has changed about you? Are these deep probing questions?
Yeah,
I didn't know that maybe we weren't going to go that way. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm definitely more compassionate and kind. I'm more understanding now. Like I said, I took that time during the pandemic just to really do a lot of reflection and self-awareness, and just I'm aware of my weaknesses, and I'm not using them as an excuse anymore to hold me back. I'm now aware, and I'm working on overcoming them. My friend group is entirely different, and that goes back to Epic. I mean, I have Epic to thank for that, and my confidence. And that kind of goes back to when you're living in alignment with your purpose, all of these things kind of manifest on their own. Your confidence, your worthiness, your peace, all just kind of happens at the same time when you're living in alignment with your purpose. And I was able to start doing that when I was working from home and the world kind of slowed down.
Yeah.
Did you find that, like, becoming aware of those things that were getting in the way? I think I see a lot of people in my life that have struggles, and they're not self-aware of what's going on. And I think maybe it's because they don't want to be. Did you find that was like your case? You kind of always knew what may have been the obstacles for you to really understand who you were, but it just took having that moment of clarity and self-awareness to get there.
Oh yeah, and there were a lot of people who made me aware over time, but I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to admit they were right. But yeah, I wasn't really. I always knew, and deep down, they had a point and they were right, but I was too stubborn at the time to admit it and see it. And it wasn't until I realized I could really lose things that I loved and people that I loved that I was willing to face those head on and make a change.
So how have you channeled that realization, self-realization into how you'll help people that come to you that are clients?
Yeah, I definitely use this phrase a lot, but your mess is your message. And we shouldn't be ashamed of things that have happened to us or things that we've done. There's some quote that's the only mistake that you make is the one you didn't learn from or something. I'm probably butchering that. But I just really use my past experiences and these lessons to relate to my clients and not come from a place of judgment, but for love and compassion, because, I've been there and I know what it's like to feel alone and stuck and confused and not confident. And, I've been to a lot of counselors and therapists and they can sit there, but have you not actually gone through it? It's really hard to relate. And I think that's what is really going to make me a good coach.
Yeah. The work that it takes, I think, sometimes to be both accepting of the counseling or accepting of the coaching, and the coaching can be a big barrier sometime. Obviously, when you're out there talking to customers or clients, it's a little different. But do you think that what do you think is sort of the biggest barrier sometimes to folks seeking that help?
I think it's a stigma. You think that, there's something wrong with me. And there's not. I mean, we're all human. We all have our flaws and weaknesses, and admitting them and becoming aware, that's just the first step in accepting yourself and loving yourself through it. But yeah, I think there's a stigma to it where you think, I'm broken or I'm screwed up, and we put on this face for society and for people that we work with or our community that we have to be a certain way, and you don't. And I think the more we can support each other for who we truly are, and the more we're living in our purpose and showing up and being ourselves, that hopefully in time that will get better and people will get the help that they desire and live the life that they want to live.
And it's painful to change though too, isn't it? You talked about the ingrained thing, when you've used something to cope for a long period of time and then you strip that away, that can be a really tough time.
Oh yeah. The emotions hit you like a brick wall, and honestly, just feeling them. Like, if anyone is listening and, going through something similar, just again, facing it head on and embracing it. In my coaching, in my certification classes, we talk about emotions a lot. And, when you look at a toddler, they cry it out, they're mad, they scream it out. It only lasts for a couple minutes, right? And then they're better. Whereas adults, we hold it in. And again, we put on that face of how we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to cry. We're not supposed to be angry. And if you can just feel those feels and let them happen and accept them, over time, it gets a lot easier.
Yeah. I always think of my youngest daughter, Lucy, and I see that it's not uncommon for her to have her iPad and go into her room and start watching a video, and then I come in a little while to put some clothes away or something, and she's got tears running down her face. I'm like, Lucy, you okay? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, but you're crying. And she's like, I just watched a sad video, and so like, she's one that's really willing to, in some regards, I'm blessed and cursed with kids that wear their emotions on their sleeve. You know them, so you know this. But like, it's good though, I think, in some regards, because a lot of times we just really suppress all those emotions,
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you said, it's really hard for people to admit that they're broken and that they have issues, right? But you can't ever fix any of those until you admit those to yourself. And I think the world would be a much better place if we all would just realize that we're all messed up, right? And we just start from there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right. Your kids do wear their emotions on their sleeve.
Boy, that's the truth.
And we're all messed up, but we're also all great. Like there are also great things about everyone. And so we need to recognize, again, our weaknesses, but then celebrate and embrace the good parts as well.
So now you're going to be a small business owner, and you'll be tasked with growing your client base and doing things like that. So how are you approaching that? To obviously have a marketing background, and that helps, I think, but how are you approaching the idea of trying to go out and gather new folks?
Well, yeah, the marketing background definitely helps with social media and creating content. I mean, that's really what I love. Even as a kid, I would create, write things and create graphics and photos and all of that. So that comes naturally to me. And I think the networking part also comes naturally. I love connecting with people and just being involved in the community. And I'm honestly at a point right now where I'm not having to push my business too much because clients are just coming,
nice.
like
That's
falling
awesome.
in my lap. Yeah. And I don't mean to sound like in a conceited way or anything, but I truly just believe that the right our paths will cross, and I'll know the right clients and the fit will happen naturally. Of course, there's a business side to that, right? I'm going to need to make money and make an income, but I've built my life in a way over the last couple of years where, again, money and that's not a value to me anymore. And I'm in a place right now where I don't have a lot of bills, and I've done that so that now I can start this business and take a shot at living my dream.
Yeah. And we're going to get to the way you're living now, because I want to talk about that too, because it's really fun. But one of the things I think is interesting, first of all, I think you generate great content online. And I want you to give your Insta so that way people will know and they can go there, because there are times on your story or something that you've posted something and it made me think, about whatever you were talking about. And so I think it's good content, first of all, which makes me leads me to believe that the content that you'll be offering people will be good too. But how do you generate that content? Do you kind of keep a hopper of ideas that you keep going, or is it just pulling something out of the air you wake up with some inspiration on a day? How's that work?
All of the above.
Great.
I definitely am I'm a list maker. So I'm very visionary. So my ideas are constantly going. And so I keep tons of lists for, posts I want to make, messages I want to get out, crazy big ideas that I would need like a team of 50 people to execute. But yeah, I keep lists. And then there are some mornings where I'm making the coffee, I'm taking the dog out. I'm like, oh, I just got this an idea for a post. And I do notice those ideas come a lot more in the morning. So as a business owner, if you are trying to create content, I think finding the time of day is really important on when those ideas come, and taking note of that and kind of scheduling that in. That's been a big help for me. And really finding people that I admire and seeing what they're doing. And, I think as business owners, and especially for marketers, we forget to put ourselves in the client's shoes or in the customer's shoes. And we're all customers, right? And so what kind of messages do I want to hear? What kind of messages did I need to hear when I was in that place 2 years ago? And I've kind of, I have a running list of that too, whether it's creating boundaries, feeling how to get unstuck, feeling confident, like all of those types of feelings that I've had over the last few years of my life. Yeah, I literally have a journal of those. I'm like, all right, today we're going to talk about overcoming your fear. And
yeah,
I think you have a great opportunity when it comes to using social media for, I guess people can watch your content get something from that, but then recognize like the need that they have to maybe approach somebody like you as a coach. I have a few people. I have one of my best friends. He is a fitness coach on Instagram and has been doing it for a number of years, and moved away to a place to live wherever he wanted to live. But he's been very successful, and he just helps people like change their mindset about their fitness goals. And he just does a really good job, and he releases content all the time that I'll watch one of his stories and get like it's motivating. And then I follow another channel. It's a doctor. She does a lot of men's health stuff on videos on YouTube. And of course, once you watch one of them, YouTube algorithm keeps finding me. But I find that there's an opportunity. So many people are watching TikTok for crazy funny videos, but I really feel like there's going to be this transition, and I'm already starting to see it in all the social media is, okay, that was kind of the beginning of that. Now, how can those social media channels be way more useful than a funny cat video, right? Even though we all might watch the funny cat video and think it's great, but then there's some great self-help stuff to help people look at what's going on in their lives and how they might be able to tackle some of those issues. So I just think that the more content you can do, the better, and then it will continue to drive people to your business. So,
yeah, I actually started an online support group back in 2017, and I was just kind of throwing content out there, playing around with it, seeing what I was too embarrassed, to put it on my page where my parents could see it or my coworkers. And I now have over 300 women in this group, but through the pandemic, people were wanting connection and community. And I was able to kind of see what worked and what didn't through this private group. And, if a post didn't get any action or engagement, it was fine because it was private and it was good practice for me. So by doing that, I was really able, again, to see kind of what worked for my demographic and what didn't. And at the time I had no idea. I'm like, why am I doing this? Something just kept telling me to do it. And now in hindsight, not only have I met all these, well, not met all of them, but in person, but have made these connections with 300 women. And I got the practice I needed with creating content to now produce the content that I do.
Yeah. I think it's important to realize, like, I think a lot of people think that social media is connection without connection, but there can be a lot of depth to that connection depending on how you do it. Right. And I think that's the thing that I noticed about your life coaching stuff and your, the support group stuff was, and again, like I look at the support group stuff, it's for women. So it's not necessarily for me, but I can see, I have a wife, I have 4 daughters. I can see how it really relates and connects. And you can build a deep, still a little bit superficial because you're not seeing people on a daily basis, but you can build some depth of friendship and support and connection through social media. And I think people are too quick to, distance themselves from it. Well, it's not real connection. When in actuality, you really are making connection. I'm sure you see that as well.
Oh, for sure. And when things were starting to open back up and we were able to have events, I started having events for that group. And these people who had never met each other were able to come together, and it was like they already knew each other. And that was really cool to witness. And all different types of women. You would never put these women together and think, oh, this group would hang out for 6 hours and, become so close and connected. But it worked out, and it was truly amazing to watch happen.
Yeah. The one thing that I think I can say I see different about you from 2 years ago to now is the confidence. And I think we had some conversations back in 19 and 20 when we were trying to get Epic going again. And I think you were confident at that point that you wanted to be president if they wanted you to be president, and you were willing to lead, and your organizational skills and your lists, your great lists, I think have really helped that organization flourish. Let's talk a little bit about Epic because I want folks to understand it. And if you're out there in that 25 to 40-ish or 19 to 45 or 40 age group in there somewhere, you should seek out Epic. They're doing some great things. We made a lot of changes with Epic. The first one was that we decided to include 19 to 40 because it was 25 before, I think, or so, 21. But we thought these kids are old enough to, do a lot of things. And so, in fact, they're on their own in some regards. So what did you feel like was the biggest thing that you needed to do with Epic to move that organization forward?
The biggest thing was to have people feel welcomed and empowered to be themselves, and really changing the mindset of what we think of when we think of a professional.
Yeah, because we had conversations about this, because I wanted the person that was a mechanic to feel as welcome as the person that worked in the marketing department, owned their own business, was a realtor, whatever, right? Because those folks are professionals too.
Absolutely. And the pandemic showed us that the frontline workers, they were essential and they're professionals, and we want to have everybody feel welcome, not just based on your title, or heck, you could not even have a job and be unemployed and be searching, and we still want you to come to our meetings and feel supported because we can help you find that job that you're seeking. Yeah.
And as well, right along that same line, I mean, it was for the single person and the married person with kids too, because that wide range from 19 to 40, you're going to get a lot of different people in that, on different stages of family life there. So, we spent, I was only there a little bit. So you and your team, do you call them an executive team? I don't know how you refer to that. You're like support group, but
yeah, the board.
Yeah,
typically the board.
Yeah, that's good. As you approached that 2020 into 2021, there was a lot of conversation about what do we want this thing to look like. When you came right down to it, what did you think? I assume that you went and said, all right, this is going to be the purpose of Epic. Mm-hmm. What did you focus on there?
So we identified 4 key focuses, actually. We did a roundtable brainstorming one day, and we all asked, what do we want to get out of this? What do we personally all want? What do we want this to mean for our community and the future? And those focuses were community, connection, empowerment, and development. So community, getting involved with our community and creating a community of our own. Similar, like I was saying, I've done with the support group. Like I wanted to bring that same concept to Epic. And then connection, having a place where young people can network, but also have fun and provide social events that aren't just, going to the bars or just doing the same old thing all the time. And then development. So really focusing on developing skills, whether that's personal skills or professional skills. And then, empowerment, just again, embracing people for who they are and finding their strengths and empowering them to use them.
And you guys do a series of events. A lot of them are monthly events. So let's talk a little bit about those, because there's a lot of ways for folks that really don't know much about Epic to connect with the group at their time frame, at their level, at their social awareness. A lot of people don't like to be in huge crowds. So talk a little bit about those events too.
So we have a quarterly member meeting, and that's in the evening. So we try to provide meetings and events at all various times. So people can come before work, they can come after work. We offer lunch and learns. So every month we do have a morning rise and grind, which is an event where we talk to a local business owner. We're really trying to focus on those young demographic business owners. They just have amazing stories and are very inspiring. But that's just a way for other young professionals to connect and to talk to community leadership and just hear one another's stories. And then the monthly, the quarterly member meetings, those were designed so that the board and our members could collaborate. And we really wanted to give our members an opportunity to tell us, how things were going for them, what they want to see, share their ideas and be heard. And in those, we have developed subcommittees all based around those key focuses that I mentioned. And then we also do quarterly lunch and learn events, which tie back to the development aspect. So that's a personal or professional development offering that typically another community leader or business owner leads for us.
And then you do some community events like the cleanups and so on.
Yeah, we have a full calendar of community events that we either lead or get involved in. One thing I wanted to be very mindful of was there's so much going on in this community. And something I've noticed is there's so many different groups, but they all have the same initiative, trying to do the exact same thing. So how can we work together and not try to compete so much with one another, whether it's events or initiatives? So we try to really get in touch with community organizations that are hosting their own events. And, maybe we're just volunteering, or maybe we're providing food or donating money. But we do host our own as well.
Well, I think the really cool thing about it is I feel like the events are a way to pull people together that don't know their friends yet. That's the way it looks from an outsider's perspective, from somebody outside that 20 or 19 to 40 range. When I go to your events, just as the chamber guy that shows up and just makes sure everybody's still meeting and that, Macey's not chasing anybody out or anything like that. But, that's the way it looks to me. I mean, honestly, I think it's just it's a good group. There's a core group, which is great, but that core group is very embracing of other folks that come in. And I've seen people that I never thought, I'll see somebody come in and I'll be like, oh yeah, I could have told that person to come here like 6 months ago. I don't know why I didn't, So I think that's the fun part about it, probably for you as well.
Oh, I absolutely love, like I said, I love connecting with people, but I love helping other people connect to each other. And that's one thing I'm loving about being in this role is, it's not just networking, but it is building those relationships and just seeing, when I see two members when they went on a hike together, that just really sets my heart on fire and just makes me so proud because, who knows what they may have been going on that hike by themselves and been on the same trail on the same day and never would have made that connection if it weren't for Epic. Yeah.
And you never know when, a friendship is going to basically be very, very important because somebody goes through a difficult time and suddenly they've got somebody in their life that can breathe life into them too,
Yeah. And again, that was one of the things out of the pandemic that people were craving friendships and connections again.
This is big. Horizon Fiber Internet is ready.
Let them get you hooked up and power your Wi-Fi network
with the speed and reliability that only a 100% fiber network can do.
Horizon is ready to help you do what you do better. With real people, real rates, and a real service.
Connect with them today, and the first month is free, plus no contracts and no data caps. Call 740-772-8331
or visit horizonconnects.com/Chillicothe to sign up today.
I also want to talk a little bit about Macey Leaves the City, which is, I think, the sitcom that we'll be writing about you going to live in a cabin.
Oh, boy.
So you lived in a downtown apartment for a long time, probably most of the time that you've been living here, right?
Right.
And then was it last year that you finished the cabin and you decided to move out there?
Yes, in May.
Okay. So you're almost coming up on a year.
Yep.
So you give it up. You give all of the, I don't want to say like running water and electricity and things like that, because some of that stuff you did give up.
Oh, yes, we did.
So explain that whole part of it, because, I mean, that's a big move.
So, yeah, my boyfriend, Aaron, he bought a piece of land 3 years ago now. And, he had his vision for it before I came along, of course. But then, we both love the outdoors. We both love camping and kayaking, and I love being downtown. But again, I thrive when I'm in nature. So he had actually taken down a pole barn from another property, and they gave him all the materials as like payment for the job. So he was working on putting this barn back together and making additions to it. And you don't realize all the things that go into building a house and buying land until you do it. And so, that project is still in the works, but we came across this tiny house cabin for sale and got a really good deal on it. It's beautiful. So we ended up moving that to the land, and we're living in that as we finish the house.
Wow. And that is cool. Like I don't have the guts to do that. First of all, number one, it wouldn't be a tiny house for my crew, but, obviously you had a lot of adjustment to make in that. Not only, you could walk to work, and some days if you were working out of Carlisle or whatever, but this is now a whole new different life, but it's also something that you embrace because of where you were in life, right?
Right. And I've always dreamed of living in a cabin in the woods, 10 minutes from town. Like I remember being a little girl, and like I said, I used to write a lot. So I'd have this journal, and that was my dream. I wanted to be close enough to go to the grocery or to meet up with friends, but I wanted to be, on like a dead end road by a creek. Literally, we're on a dead end road by the creek. I'm 5 minutes from Kroger. And that's one thing I love about Chillicothe. I don't think that would be possible anywhere else because, you can be downtown at a coffee shop. It took me only 10 minutes to get here, but I can be on the creek and on a trail and at a state park in 5-10 minutes.
Yeah. That is definitely, I think sometimes the thing that people overlook the most is, I jokingly refer to it as Ohio's biggest outdoor playground because it really is. I mean, there's great trails, there's great waterways here.
Yeah.
Bike trail alone. I think there's going to be a lot more that comes out of that with the trail system soon, and I think that's exciting to see. But you're out there living the life, so that's great. And you still have the dog?
Yeah, we have a dog and 2 cats. We had about 15 chickens. We're down to 1.
Oh boy.
Chickens are tough. There's lots of, they're at the bottom of the food chain.
Yeah.
There's lots of predators for chickens.
Yeah, we're hoping to get more this spring.
Yeah.
But my dad actually worked in Alaska on and off since I was 8. So visiting him and growing up with him as my dad, it's very, integrated in the outdoors early on in my childhood. So the whole non-electric running water, it
doesn't faze you.
Not really. Yeah. And I was actually telling someone this today. I rather never use a real toilet and have the views that I have than live in town.
Yeah.
And it's just something about it. Again, you find out what really truly matters to you, right. And running water, I've learned to live without.
And I mean, when there's harmony about your mind, soul, and spirit, you can't, it, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's hard to say, well, I'm just going to put that aside and go do this thing that everybody thinks I should do. Mm-hmm. Because that's not living in harmony.
Right. It's like a pair of jeans that you're trying to fit into that don't fit anymore.
That would be me trying to get into my varsity jacket from high school, I think. And it's like,
It's a little tight.
I can get those 2 buttons together. I know I can do it.
Almost there.
It's like you're not meant for that, You're not meant to live in that role. And we all have this vision of what we think our life is supposed to be, or how our parents wanted it to be, or what we think would impress people. And we really have to surrender and release that and just accept what it's meant to be.
And know that the timing has to be right, because there are a lot of people that will do things out of an obligation. Okay, I screwed this thing up, so I got to change my whole life. That might not be the right time. How do you know when that time, is it something you feel?
Yeah, that was a question I asked myself a lot, especially with taking the leap with my job. Like, when is the right time? When is the right time? I don't think there's there's never a right time. You can sit and wait and wait and wait, but you can't. For me, it was scarier to keep waiting than to take the leap.
Yeah.
But I do think, when and people say that sometimes when they meet the love of their life or when they do quit a job, and it goes back to your intuition and listening to what that's telling you, trusting your gut, and I'm not really listening to the opinions of others. I tell my clients sometimes to go on an opinion detox, because just take a month without asking anyone's opinion. They might give it to you without you asking.
Well, they probably will, yeah.
Right? But
you're not soliciting it.
Yeah, we can't trust ourselves when you have all this other constant chatter going on. So yeah, you can sit with it, and if it keeps coming up and feeling, an idea keeps coming up or something keeps pressing on your heart, that's your intuition pushing you and knocking on the door, and you have to be the one to answer.
And being in a much better place, healthier place, it's a little easier, probably a lot easier to hear that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's impossible when you have all this other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Well, and there's so much clutter today, right? I mean, they're just, whether it's social media or, classic media or whatever, like there's just so much out there to distract you. I find myself doing this as well. I have to literally say, I'm not, I can't remember what it was. It was something just recently where I was like, between Ohio redistricting and the war in Ukraine starting, I think I'm just going to stay off social media today because all the experts are out. Right. And so you have to just know when it's the right time to say, I'm unplugging from the stuff. I'm just going to be in the moment and focus on my work or focus on my relationships.
Yeah.
And you'll probably be much better for that.
And it's hard. It's definitely not easy. But you have to make the time for yourself. And another thing I tell clients is schedule that time in your calendar and your planner, just like you would a meeting or just like you would an appointment. And you wouldn't bail on your friend if you guys made plans. You wouldn't cancel your doctor's appointment. So why are you going to not show up for yourself and take that time for yourself?
Yeah.
And that's why we all need a life coach right there.
No doubt.
That reminder.
So tell people where they can find you. So that way, not only on Instagram, but, in general.
In the woods? No,
in the woods. That's all right. Yeah. Do you have a tin can on a string that they can get a hold of you on?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Coach Macey, and my personal account is Macey Power. I tend to post, that's one thing I'm actually working on, is where do I post what kind of content to what? Do I, make just one channel? But I think if you follow me, you'll see a difference there. And then I'm on Facebook, just Macey Power there. I don't have a website yet. Again, working in marketing, a marketing person would say, oh, that's the first thing you need to do is social media and a website. But as someone starting out in business and getting traction by word of mouth and by networking, it's just not a focus right now.
And as distracting as Facebook can be, I think sometimes with small businesses, starting out on Facebook is almost better because everybody's there, and then you can network with the people that you have on your friend list and build from there sometimes too. So
yeah, sometimes it's just easier to get the word out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad you came on because I feel refreshed. First of all, this was a great session for me. You're not billing me, are you?
No.
Okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate that. I want a free session. Yes. Don't expect that, folks. She's got to get paid now. So,
well, actually, the first session is always free. I do a free clarity call with all my clients just to gain a sense of where they're at, where they want to be, and how I can help them. So yeah, you do get a free call if you.
There you go. See, we're breaking news right here. Thanks for coming on. And I wish you the best of luck. And I wish people the best of luck through you because I think you'll help them a lot. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This has been great.
You're listening to the Feels Like Home podcast with Mike Throne and Marty Ford. Powered by Horizon. This is big. This is gig.
It feels a little strange, but I don't feel alone. We just settled in and it already